you all so very much for coming out again on this nasty issue of NESE. We are here in Atlantic Highlands at the harbor, which is at the heart of a tremendous fishing and marine celebration. And lurking in the background is New York City and the state of New York, which is very important because we're here today because New York wants to build this project and New Jersey is going to suffer the consequences. But the reality is that we shouldn't be here at all. We should not be here. The messy, unnecessary project, the Northeast Supply Enhancement Project, was dead in the water. We had beat it over 10 years, fighting campaigns after campaigns. From where it comes into New Jersey at the border of Pennsylvania, going through the center, going through Franklin, building the compressor station, building the pipeline, going all the way out to the bay, all the way. We all fought so hard, New York and New Jersey residents, to stop this project. And we're successful. Governor Hochul and New Jersey had said no time and time again. And Transco even withdrew the project. They gave up. They said, no more, we're taking it out, we're taking it off the table. And we had a big celebration, and it was great, and it was wonderful, and it showed power of the people. The bay, the land, the air, and the water of New Jersey was saved, and we could go on to fight many of the other battles. Unfortunately, in 2025, things changed dramatically. And we had a shift, and politics got in the way. There was executive orders. President Trump sort of took off any fossil fuel project that had been denied, or it was even being considered, or a sparkle in someone's eye was back on the table or on the table. But we fortunately had our governors, right? They had said no, no, no. So we believed that we were going to be safe. We believed that they were going to stick to to the story, the actual facts that this was a bad project for our waterways, for both New York and New Jersey. Unfortunately, there was a huge betrayal and allegations of a sweetheart deal or a deal of some sort. And unfortunately, the governors betrayed us all, and both New York and New Jersey approved the project that was long opposed. So here we are at the last stand. And the last stand is a very little known law called the Tidelands Act, and a group of wonderful people, the Tidelands Council, whose job it is to sort of review and ensure the Tidelands Act is complied with. And what the Tidelands Act says is that all of the underwater lands of New Jersey, either previously and today, are owned by the people of New Jersey and are held in trust for the people of New Jersey. And they should only be used for the public interest of New Jersey. Woo! Yeah. Great, yeah. It's ours for protection and for the celebration of the marine life that we are so dependent on. So there are two standards for the Tidelands Resource Council to evaluate. One, as I said, is that the activity be in the public interest. So any grant or lease of these underwater lands should be in the interest of the public. And then the other one is, what are the future possible uses of these lands? What else could they be used for? Like marine life, enjoyment, public use. So those are the two evaluations that are underway because the Transco has to get an underwater utility license for that strip of land, that 9.4 miles of underwater land of New Jersey that starts at the water's edge and goes all the way out to the border of New York. They need to get a license for that. And so the council will evaluate it and make their decision. They're under no obligation to even make a decision. They could say, no, it's not really in the public interest. We're not going to grant a license. They could deny it. They could punt it. They could say we need more information, or they could actually say yes. And that's going to be happening on April 1st. They are having a meeting on April 1st. The kicker is, or the other issue is that at the end of the day, the Tidelands Council makes a decision. And then it goes to the administration. It goes to the governor for final okey doke or final yes, no. So it could be, it ultimately is going to be Governor Mikie Sherrill's decision. So we have good faith in the Tidelands Resource Council. They've been doing this for years, and they are going to be evaluating the project. But at the end of the day, it's going to be Governor Mikie Sherrill's decision. And we are, here today to really call on her to see what everyone can see. Anyone who looks at this issue can see that this project is not in New Jersey's interest in any way, shape, or form. It's not, and it's only in New York's interest. And how many times has New Jersey, taken a hit for New York? Not now, not again, no, and not with the destruction of so much of our bay and estuary and our land on land. I mean, this Tidelands, even though it's just about the Tidelands, has consequences well inland as well. And so here today we have a wonderful roster of bipartisan. This has always been a bipartisan issue, and we have elected representatives that I'm going to introduce, and then we have a great roster of environmentalists and public interest groups that are going to speak to the reasons as to why Transco fails over and over again to meet the standards under the Tidelands Act. So first, we have representing the wonderful host community here, Atlantic Highlands, Kathleen Skatasa. Yes, come on up.
Council member.
Oh, aren't you good?
Yeah. So forgive me. I'm gonna just read off my phone. Thank you. Thank you,
You're
Cindy.
welcome.
Yeah. Welcome to Atlantic Highlands. We are so glad to have you here in our beautiful coastal community today. Every day, people of Atlantic Highlands and our neighboring communities come to this spot to bask in the beauty of our special bay. When I was campaigning for office last fall, the thing everyone had in common, Republicans, Democrats, Independents, is they love this town, they treasure our abundant natural resources, and they want to keep it beautiful and safe. The NESE pipeline threatens that vision we have for our community, and it threatens our neighbors as well. Thank you to Water Spirit, Clean Ocean Action, Food and Water Watch, New Jersey League of Conservation Voters, Sierra Club, Surfrider Foundation, Rethink Energy New Jersey, New York, New Jersey Baykeeper for your leadership and persistence in standing up to the powerful out-of-state interests who would jeopardize the health and safety of our bay for a fracked gas pipeline. I'll leave it to representatives from those groups to share with you the twists and turns this fight has taken. We've heard about some of it already, and the litany of concerns we have with this project. But the big picture is this. Now is not the time to be doubling down on a fossil fuel pipeline that threatens our precious marine ecosystem and the health and beauty of our bay. Like other coastal communities, we are vulnerable to the effects of climate change, and like New Jersey families, we are reeling from high energy bills. Fossil fuels put coastal communities like ours directly in harm's way, poison our air and water, and leave us battered about by volatility in energy prices. The NESE pipeline is all risk, no reward. That's why Atlantic Highlands Borough Council, dozens of other towns, including every single municipality on the Bay Shore, have passed resolutions, sometimes twice, saying we don't want it, we don't need it. Not when there are better, safer, cheaper options. Solar and other renewables are the fastest, cheapest, cleanest way to meet our energy needs, proven, available, everywhere, and limitless. Look up, every 5 days, the sun delivers more energy than if we burned every single last bit of the Earth's entire fossil fuel reserves. Why are we scrounging for crumbs and paying wealthy, powerful companies for the pleasure of poisoning our air and water, wrecking our marine ecosystem, when we've got the mother of all energy sources, literally, just giving it to us for free? It's a no-brainer. This project must be stopped. We are counting on the members of the Tidelands Resource Council and the governor to harness their love for our beautiful waterways, protect our future, and do the right thing. Thank you.
Joanne Olszewski is the council president for my hometown now, the lovely town of Highlands. And you're right behind me. And Highlands, as everyone knows, has been a clamming town since the 1600s, and so much of the contamination that's going to be resuspended, the 1 million tons of toxic muck that's going to spread all over is going to devastate that industry, and we're just so grateful the town of Highlands is standing up for our waterways and for our heritage.
Absolutely.
Yay. Okay, so the Lenny Lenapes came here in the summer, right? And people thought that they turned around and went home. But I know in Atlantic Highlands and Highlands, digging has proven that no, they stayed here. How many other people came to this area? Oh, let me come for a day. Oh, let me come for a week.
That's awesome.
I'm one of them. Yeah, we bought it as a vacation home, and 2 weeks later I said to my husband, you can go home, but I'm staying. What's the draw? It's over there. It's the magnificence of the ocean coupled with the incredible highlands, the Navasink Highlands that really are a gift to both of us. Let me go one other place. Why does Highlands have a depuration plant for clams? That's kind of a sad thing. I have a number from last year. 20,576,937 clams.
Woohoo! Wow!
I have to throw in a word, had to go through depuration. We can't have any more brought. We can barely handle what we have. And it's not only the clams, it's all of the jobs that are connected to the sea beyond clamming. We can't. Would they put this under the George Washington Bridge? I don't think so. Don't put it here either. Highlands owes a debt back to the ocean. And so I'm standing here begging for the right things to happen to stop that pipeline.
Governor Mikie Sherrill. Great. Council President from Rumson, John Conklin, is here, who is no stranger to speaking out on this issue. He's been speaking out over the years and has been a champion, and he has a little bit of an issue. So he's,
John, good to see you.
So thank you for me. Nothing will stop you from sharing your.
I won't be running the marathon today. Let's just leave it at that. I'm not. Cindy and I grew up in the same hometown, and I'm not really familiar or very conversant in all the bigger issues. But there's one part of it, and I'm going to bore you with, a lot of you have heard this before, about the approach that I have. Nature is absolutely amazing. It's awesome. It is phenomenal. It is something that we should cherish every day. The nature is resilient. It's something that we as humans, you, me, all of us, everybody on this planet makes mistakes. And we put pressure on nature to cope with the mistakes that we made. We need to learn from the history of what our interactions with nature have been. And one of the most recent examples of that has to be the GE and the PCBs from the Hudson River. Riverkeeper, a New York-based group whose mission is to protect the environmental, recreational, and commercial integrity of the Hudson River and its tributaries, stated that, quote, between 1947 and 1977, GE dumped an estimated 1.3 million PCBs into the Hudson River. The GE PCBs were found in sediment, water, and wildlife throughout the entire Hudson River ecosystem as far south as the New York Harbor. From that incident and the subsequent settlement, we learned that nature is indeed resilient and constantly adapting to our human missteps. During that cleanup, they realized that a lot of those PCBs that had made their way 150 miles from where they were discharged into the New York Harbor were dormant. They were contained. Nature had really addressed the things that we as humans had did these missteps. Why is that important? That is the history in which we are to think about this project. The Raritan River and its Raritan River watershed are the main tributary to the Raritan Bay, which is right out there. And by some estimates, has experienced pollution from industrial facilities, toxic dumping for close to 100 years. According to a 2015 Sierra Club fact sheet regarding the potential Exxon settlement with the New Jersey DEP, there were currently 18 EPA Superfund sites in the Raritan watershed. With that template, is it not conceivable that the Raritan Bay, which is right here, that it most likely holds contaminants buried in its seabed as a result of that toxic dumping over 100 years?
100%.
The construction of that Williams pipeline through the Raritan Bay will be a trigger for a potential toxic cocktail for our waterways, marine life, and ecosystem. At a minimum, as mentioned, the seabed will be displaced. These embedded contaminants will be released into the Raritan Bay, which will have long-term ecological and economic ramifications for the Sandy Hook Bay, beaches, the Bayshore area, the tidal flow that will go in and out of this harbor. And be rest assured that the area in which Cindy and I grew up in, the Shrewsbury and Navesink rivers, will be impacted. There's no way that those are not going in there. And the ironic thing about it is that a lot of our friends in New York come across and enjoy the Sandy Hook Bay and enjoy the Sandy Hook beaches. And those will be impacted. In that Navesink and Shrewsbury area, towns of Rumson, Seabright, Oceanport, Long Branch, Monmouth Beach, Little Silver, Red Bank, Middletown, Fairhaven will potentially be impacted. The main question I ask of the Tidelands group is, where is the independent research and testing that this toxic cocktail will not be released from those sediments when that 9.5 million miles of ground sludge or whatever is excavated to put in this pipeline? In addition, we need to focus on the fact that many of you shared that the New York State gets all the benefit of this pipeline, while you, me, everyone in New Jersey bears the consequences. So with that background, I ask, once again, Tidelands Council, where is the independent verification that this will not be a release of those toxic cocktails, which will affect all residents of this area, New York and New Jersey? Thank you.
Thank you for making that extra effort to be here and share that really important and very specific example of just one of the many impacts that's going to occur, but one of the most significant, because as we know, PCBs are a suspected carcinogen, and we've banned them. So the only place they are lurking is in these types of areas, and that's where they should stay. Our next elected official has a long history with Clean Ocean Action. He was on our board for decades, I think, helping us frame the fights that we fought over many, many years. Ben Forrest is now a councilman with Red Bank, and he will be speaking on their behalf.
It is an honor to be here with all of you, and we support our neighbors in Red Bank for all the reasons that have been articulated. This project is a monstrosity. Talk about undead, dead project coming back to life.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of gross.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. So we are proud, Red Bank, to stand up with our neighbors to fight this awful proposal, the monstrosity.
The monstrosity. Thank you. Thank you, Ben. Okay, great. So now, as I mentioned, we are going to hear from a roster of outstanding organizations that have been working on this for years and years and years. And they're going to come up individually and introduce themselves, except I'll kick it off with the first one, Greg Rameau, who's the New York, New Jersey Baykeeper. Need I say more? The New York, New Jersey Baykeeper, this is what he's been defending, and keepers before. I mean, it's been billions of dollars and thousands of hours of work from so many people to get the bay clean, and a lot of that is testament to the Baykeeper. And Greg Rameau is going to speak now about the impacts and why it should be denied. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi. Thanks very much, Cindy, Maddie, Clean Ocean Action, for organizing this event, and for all the great individuals and elected officials and organizations who've come out here today to advise the Tidelands Council to deny a utility license for NESE. NESE construction, as everybody here knows and others should know who are ruling on it, travels across, the impacts are across the state of New Jersey. Fracked gas from Pennsylvania to New York, nothing in it for New Jersey except the negative externalities, the impacts to our communities and to our homes. Along the Raritan Bayshore, and the mayor and Mr. Conklin, absolutely. A matter of fact, we know that those toxic chemicals, that mercury, copper, lead, zinc, are going to be dispersed. Worse still is the tests that were done by the NESE consultants were really inadequate when they looked at the disbursement of the plumes of the contaminants. They didn't go deep enough. They only stayed in a limited area, and then they came back and said it would only have a limited impact. Well, that's because they didn't test properly, and no one has made them test properly, which is unfortunate. Along the Bayshore, we have 23 miles of tidelands that are going, and subaquatic habitat that's going to be ripped up if this pipeline were to be constructed. That means impacts to clams, to fish, to osprey and other birds, to folks who fish and who clam, all needlessly. There would be impacts from the bottom of the food chain all the way up to the top on this. And that's why there is, an extra protection from the Tidelands Council. As Cindy said at the beginning, it's to look at public benefits and to protect our resources for the public, not to give away to a single gas pipeline who just wants their private pipeline at our expense. The pipeline construction itself, where right before it comes into the bay, is right along Cheesequake Creek, which is part of, all of it is part of Cheesequake State Park. Baykeeper worked with residents and with the state of New Jersey, DEP, to buy properties all along Cheesequake State Park to protect it against the many insults, the incursions, and the insults coming in from external development and encroachments. And the idea was to protect these incredible wetlands along Cheesequake Creek, including the CNK property, which Senator Lauenberg and Congressman Pallone and many of us worked hard to get to protect this vital habitat. The pipeline where it's entering the bay is right next to a Superfund site, the EPA Superfund site, where lead had to be cleaned up. We cleaned up the lead because we wanted to protect our waterways. So we don't want to recontaminate those waterways with a whole myriad of toxic chemicals which will be dispersed, as people talked about. It's a great time of year. Our wetlands, our tidelands are coming to life. Striped bass are moving up the streams, getting ready for their big migration up the Raritan and further up the Hudson. They're at Cheesequake State Park. There's amazing natural migration of glass eels, tiny, transparent eels that go all the way from the Sargasso Sea to Cheesequake Creek to spawn. I mean, it's a miracle. And the whole idea behind the Tidelands Council, and what everybody here is doing, is to protect these natural wonders in our communities and a healthy way of life. So clearly, the Tidelands Council needs to deny any license for the NESE pipeline. Thank you.
You are Ken.
All right.
Step up. Step right up.
Thank you, everybody. For those who don't know me, my name is Ken G. I'm the president of a consumer group called Consumers Helping Affect Regulation of Gas and Electric. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We have a lot of speakers, so I'm going to try to keep this relatively short. You know, you're going to hear from people about the degradation of the air quality from the regulator. You're going to hear a lot more about the water contamination and the folks in Raritan Bay that's going to be impacted, the marine life and fishermen, clammers, recreational users, and so on. So I'm not going to get into that. What I am going to get into is the fact that, you know, this pipeline serves almost no purpose. There's no shortage of gas that we know of. There are credible testimony that there's no shortage, right? And in fact, the gas does not come to New Jersey. We have no benefit from New Jersey. So you might wonder, why the heck is there such a big push for the NESE project? Well, unfortunately, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, or FERC as we call it, have a very dated and misguided policy of enhancing and providing financial incentive for energy projects. And that's really what's driving a lot of the stuff there. We call these incentive FERC candies, and they're given out very, very handily by FERC. So this particular project, in fact, will allow Williams Transco to earn a double-digit return on their investment. So just put that in comparison, today, 30-year Treasury bills are yielding less than 5%, but they can get a double-digit return. So, very simple example to understand this. If I had $1,000 in the bank, and if I can earn 10%, at the end of the year, I get $100. Now that may afford me to buy a really nice dinner, maybe at Gabriella's Italian Steakhouse in Middletown, but it won't change my life, right? But now imagine if you had $10 billion of this on your books. If you earn 10%, guess what? That's $1 million of profit or more each and every year. Well, that drives a lot of bonuses for the executives who run these energy companies. And price appreciation, dividends to the shareholders of those stocks who own them. So they make no bones about this. Energy companies don't try to hide this. If you go to their stock analyst meetings and so on, they actually advertise and promote that, you know, a pipeline of these projects, sorry, no pun intended, a pipeline of these projects will actually drive their bottom line earnings and profits and a strong trend going forward. So clearly the NESE project was filed under a pretext and represents a money grab for a big energy company. It serves no public interest. And unfortunately, the people who live near the regulator station or downwind to that regulator station the people, the marine life, fishermen, clammers, recreational user of Raritan Bay will be the collateral damage. So we urge the Tidelands Council and Governor Mikie Sherrill to please deny this. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. That was really informative. Great. It's
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Melena Bimpong, and I'm the Environmental Justice Policy Associate at New Jersey LCV. We are here today because we are at the final line of defense. This is it. The last opportunity to stop the NESE pipeline before construction begins, and we cannot afford to get this wrong. Let's be clear about what's at stake. The Northeast Supply Enhancement Project would carve a 23-mile fossil fuel pipeline through our waters, including more than 9 miles through the fragile tidelands of Raritan Bay and the Chesapeake Creek tributary. It would bring a massive compressor station to Franklin Township, pumping pollution into nearby communities and putting families' health at risk. These are not abstract threats. These are the real consequences for real people, especially in communities already overburdened by pollution. And for what? This pipeline is not even needed. Independent analyses have shown that it does nothing to meet real energy demand. Instead, it locks us into decades of fossil fuel dependence, raises costs for consumers, and prioritizes corporate profits over public good. At a time when New Jersey is facing worsening flooding, stronger storms, and rising seas, building new fossil fuel infrastructure is reckless. We know what climate change looks like here. We've lived through Sandy. We've lived through Ida. Our communities are still recovering. The last thing we should be doing is making this crisis worse. And let's not forget, this is not even for us. This is a project designed to serve New York, while New Jersey bears the environmental and public health burden. Our tidelands, public resources that belong to the people of this state, are being put at risk for a project that does not benefit New Jerseyans. That is why this moment matters so much. The Tidelands Resource Council has the authority to deny this license, and Governor Mikie Sherrill's administration must concur. Together, they hold the power to stop this project once and for all. Governor Sherrill, we are calling on you today. Stand with the people of New Jersey. Stand with the communities who will be impacted. Stand with our fishermen, our small businesses, our families, and say no to the NESE pipeline. Deny this license. Protect our waters, protect our health, protect our future. We have stopped this pipeline before, and we can stop it again, but only if we act now, and only if our leaders have the courage to do what is right. So let our message be unmistakable. No NESE pipeline, not now, not ever. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Rupali Chakravarti, and I've been a resident of New Jersey for 48 years and now live in a senior community, Princeton Manor, and I represent my community here. I'm very concerned that NESE will adversely affect the livelihood and health of hundreds of New Jersey residents. The NESE project includes excavation of a deep 23-mile trench that will disturb hundreds of acres of sand and gravel and dredge the toxins from years of industrial dumping. These toxins have sunk under the seabed of the Raritan Bay and include copper, lead, zinc, and mercury. This mix of toxic sediments will be particularly harmful to the bottom-feeding species. It will impact the Atlantic sturgeon, an endangered species, and the oyster, a species that filters seawater and creates reefs that assist with storm protection. Did you know that Williams Transco did no comprehensive scientific assessment of the short and long-term impacts to the habitat of these organisms? Will they survive or disappear? In addition to poisoning the Raritan Bay, the NESE project includes a natural gas compressor to be built near 2,000 homes and 3 elementary schools in my town. 600 young children will be subject to 7 hazardous pollutants, noise, and odor all day, every day. It will affect the development and cause a public health crisis. I plead to the Tidelands Resource Council and Governor Sherrill to deny this license.
Yes.
Multitasking. Thank you, Cindy, and thank you, Clean Ocean Action, for organizing such an amazing press conference. My name is Taylor McFarland, and I'm the Conservation Program Manager for the Sierra Club New Jersey chapter. With March Madness on my mind, it seems like we're in the fourth quarter of a championship basketball game with 2.5 seconds left and down 1 point. We have one last play to win. Next week, the Tidelands Resource Council will decide whether to approve Williams-Transco's NESE project. And it's critical that we show this fossil fuel project fails to meet the criteria for approval. This council is the primary steward of New Jerseyans' riparian lands and is legally obligated to manage them under the public trust doctrine, ensuring they are used for the benefit of the people of New Jersey. They must determine whether a project serves a legitimate public interest or primarily benefits a private entity at the public's expense. Unfortunately, the project does not benefit New Jersey. The gas transported by NESE is intended for New York City markets, leaving New Jersey with all of the environmental risks and none of the energy benefits. This violates the public interest requirement for New Jersey residents. As stewards, the council evaluates whether the project will cause unacceptable degradation to state-owned waters and marine life. However, construction of the pipeline, as we heard, would require dredging over 1 million tons of toxic sediment, including mercury, PCBs, and arsenic in the Raritan Bay. By allowing a fossil fuel company to occupy state waters for a project that accelerates the climate crisis, the council would be violating its duty as a steward of the people's land. The New Jersey Sierra Club calls on the Tidelands Council to fulfill its duty as the steward of our public lands and to reject the NESE proposal. Our tidelands are held in trust for the public, not for a fossil fuel company to dredge up 1 million tons of toxic sediment, destroying the seafloor of Raritan Bay and threatening our marine life. We are not just protesting today. We are fighting in the courts. The Sierra Club, along with a coalition of partners here, has filed a lawsuit against New Jersey DEP for its reckless decision to approve the water quality permits. New Jersey does not need this gas, and we will not accept the pollution, the risks of explosions, or the destruction of our precious ecosystems. We've got 2.5 seconds left on the clock with a last Hail Mary. Let's make it count. Thank you.
Very well done. Very well. Great connection.
Good afternoon, Atlantic Highlands. My name is Charlie Cradaville. I am the Central Jersey organizer at Food and Water Watch, and I want to say it's great to be with all of you on this beautiful day, on this beautiful bay, and we are here to say no to NESE.
Yes!
I wanted to say a few words first about everybody standing behind me, the advocates and organizations who have stood strong for so long against this destructive and dangerous project. I want to thank each and every one of you and say that I draw inspiration from this movement right here. It is an impressive and powerful show of opposition to something that is very bad for not just this area, but the entire state of New Jersey and planet Earth. So I also wanted to, thank the Tidelands Council members for their service. It's not always easy making these decisions. One of the cases they had just went all the way to the New Jersey State Supreme Court, but this one is easy.
Right.
This one is very easy. The question before the council is this project in the public interest for New Jersey?
No.
You've heard from so many folks today about why it is not, so I won't belabor the point, but the Tidelands Council must say no. And at Food and Water Watch, on behalf of our 72,000 members and supporters around the state, we call on Governor Sherrill to just say no. It is in And I encourage her to come visit this area, speak to the affected communities, and the answer will be clear. Regardless of what the council does, we need Governor Sherrill to just say no. And I will close by just saying that I also call on every New Jerseyan to show up and speak out against this project 1 week from today, 10 a.m. at the Tidelands Resource Council meeting, which is going to be held virtually. You can join from anywhere, and I encourage you all to stand up and speak out and demonstrate the power that we have here in this movement so we can make sure that they do the right thing. Thank you, everyone.
Great job.
Thank you, Charlie. Thank you, everyone. My name is Rachel Dawn Davis, and I am the Public Policy and Justice Organizer for Water Spirit. Water Spirit is a spiritual ecology nonprofit rooted in Monmouth County since 1998, offering programming and advocacy centered on water as the source and sustainer of all life. The following are actually on behalf of all of our community members, thousands of them. Friends, we must protect our tidelands from unnecessary encroachment. We must ensure they remain a vibrant, public, and sacred resource for the future. We urge the Tidelands Resource Council to act with the long-term vision required of honest stewards and deny a Tidelands utility license necessary for unnecessary NESE. We are at a crossroads today where the spirit of the land meets a stroke of a pen. Across all of our great traditions, we hold a shared truth. We do not inherit the earth from our ancestors. We borrow sacred earth from our children. In the Torah, we are commanded tikkun olam, to repair the world. In the Gospels, we are reminded that we cannot serve two masters. We cannot claim to value the least of these while permits are signed that threaten the very land upon which they reside, air they breathe, and the water they drink. The Quran teaches us that we are Khalifa, trustees of this sacred earth, and to break that trust for temporary gain is a heavy burden on the soul, and it should be. To the Tidelands Resource Council, to Governor Sherrill, and to the New Jersey Attorney General, authority is not just power, it's a sacred responsibility. On affordability, true affordability is not found in infrastructure that serves those outside of the region, while the many here pay the price in health and environmental degradation. As the Vedas suggest, when we harm the elements, we harm ourselves. On protection, NJDEP may have opened the door, but you hold the key to the gate. To dredge up toxic Superfund sediment is to disturb the sleeping ghosts of our industrial past, violating the indigenous wisdom that calls on us to consider the impact of our actions unto the 7th generation. This proposed pipeline and compressor station offer no benefit to the people of New Jersey and would unnecessarily harm our sacred ecosystems. New York doesn't want it either, by the way. To approve it is to choose the clatter of machinery over the quiet dignity of a healthy coastline, like we have here today. We pray for the courage of our leaders to know that true leadership is not in the path of least resistance, but in the path of most protection. May Governor Sherrill find the clarity necessary to see that affordability and toxic dredging are contradictions that no policy can ever bridge. Let us choose the water, let us choose the land, let us choose the air, and let us choose a future where our children don't have to clean up the nasty nonsense of today. Thank you.
Amen. Wow. That is right. Maddie's gonna wrap it up.
Hello everyone, I'm Maddie Worst, and I work at Clean Ocean Action as our ocean policy advocate, and I truly just want to say thank you to everyone here today, everyone that supported this movement in the past. It's not one organization, it's all of us together who make it possible. And just on that note, I want to read out the organizations that have been members of this coalition either now or have been for the past 10 years. American Littoral Society, Central Jersey Environmental Defenders, Consumers Helping Affect Regulation of Gas and Electric, Clean Ocean Action, Clean Water Action, Climate Revolution Action Network, Food and Water Watch, League of Women Voters, Lower Raritan Watershed Partnership, New Jersey League of Conservation Voters, New York, New Jersey Baykeeper, Rethink Energy, Save Coastal Wildlife, Save Our Whales, Sierra Club, Surfrider Foundation, and Water Spirit. And I also want to say thank you to the elected officials who came out today from Atlantic Highlands, Rumson, and Red Bank. But like we've said, 26 other municipalities have passed resolutions against this pipeline. All of them have said no. This powerful coalition of organizations stands behind me, and we always put the environment first. That is why we're here, that is what we're doing. And now there are steps that you can take to do that as well. While it is short notice, public comments can be submitted to the Tidelands Council by end of day today, March 25th. You can submit these comments to tidelandscomments@dep.gov. There's more information on most of our websites here, and you can also go to cleanoceanaction.org to find out more information. We also urge every concerned citizen to speak out against this project, as Charlie said, and attend the virtual Tidelands Council meeting on April 1st, 1 week from today at 10 a.m. Information on how to access this meeting is also on our website. And lastly, as many of you have focused on today, Governor Sherrill holds the key. Contact our governor and tell her to correct the mistakes made by past decisions. Deny this project once and for all. You can contact Governor Sherrill on her contact form at nj.gov/governor, and you can also call 609-292-600. This is our last chance to make our voices heard, and we need to be as loud as possible. Every voice matters. Every comment counts. This moment matters. The decisions now will shape our future. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming out today.
Thank you.